Welcome to 'Cause We're Nerds, the podcast that covers trends and new releases in comics, movies, video games, board games, and much more. I'm your host Caleb, and today we're talking video game urban legends. Even with the internet, video games are a maze of code whose secrets are never truly revealed. Are some games hiding nefarious themes in plain sight? Or are these legends nothing more than a paranoid player's imagination? Find out on this week's episode of 'Cause We're Nerds. Welcome back, everyone! Halloween is here.
Boo. Got him.
Boo-hoo-hoo. Zach, welcome back.
Thanks. It's glad to be back around this scary time of year.
It's glad to be back?
It's glad. You could almost say it's frightening that I'm back.
I am certainly scared.
Yes.
So...
Well, you definitely should be, because we are going to be diving into video game urban legends.
That's today. Right. This is something that you prepared for, something that this was your idea, actually.
That's right. So you are obviously familiar with urban legends, correct?
No, what's that?
So an
Yeah.
yeah, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure if I asked you what are some basic urban legends, you would name the Chupacabra,
Slenderman.
Yep. The hook, right? The story of the couple making out, and then there's like a hook on the door handle. The Black-Eyed Children. You might even say Bloody Mary. Those are all considered urban legends. Well, little do you may little know. English is hard today, but that video games have their own urban legends as well. Actually, there's a lot of them. In doing research for this one, I have stumbled upon a plethora of urban legends.
Yeah, which is really weird because you told me that and I was like, what's a video game urban legend? I look at the guy beside me and he was like, And I look it up and I'm like, oh, there's tons of these things.
There are tons of them. So I thought we would dive in today on some urban legends. I actually have 9 video game urban legends that we will dive into, as well as some honorable mentions. And I thought I would quickly share the story of the urban legend, and then we can discuss kind of the story, how likely it might seem, if there's any facts or not, if it's actually frightening or kind of dumb. And then finally, we could put it on a list. So kind of like our Avengers Infinity War list, except this is just a spooky list.
Sweet.
Like, you ever see that spooky meme where it's not spooky, spoopy, pee spoopy, spooky, too spooky?
No.
Then never mind. Well, basically, we'll just list it off with 1 being the too spooky for me, and 10 being not spooky at all, and then we'll see where all of these fall.
All right.
So, Caleb, from music that caused players to go insane to random errors that caused a horrific experience, with Halloween only a week away, what horror stories are we going to dive in today that will cause your files to become corrupted? Are you ready to dive into some video game urban legends?
Ooh, yeah.
Cue creepy music.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right. Urban legend number 1. Kill Switch, the Russian video game. Kill Switch is a game that was supposedly created by a Soviet gaming company, Karvina Corporation, in 1989. Only about 5,000 copies of the game were produced, and it was very popular among Soviet gamers. The game was a survival horror where you had to choose between 2 characters, a girl or an invisible demon. The goal of the game was to navigate through an abandoned coal mine while battling demons and coal monsters. But what made the game creepy was that upon completing the last level, you would ascend out of the cave and a blank white screen would flash on your computer, deleting the entire game. The game would be erased, no record of it would ever be found. And with such little quantities of this game already, it soon disappeared from known existence, until 2005 when an unopened copy of the self-deleting game surfaced on eBay, where it was promptly bought for $733,000 by a man from Japan named Yamamoto Ryuichi. Ryuichi had planned to document his playthrough of the game on YouTube. However, the only video Ryuichi posted was of him staring at his computer screen and crying.
Okay, that got way scarier than I thought it would.
That's right. So Kill Switch, the Russian video game that deletes itself.
So, okay. So when was this made? What year?
1989.
Okay, so this would have been floppy disks, right?
Correct. I think floppy disk. Yeah.
So, are you saying that it wipes the floppy disk?
I believe so. It completely erases the floppy disk and any saved copy of this. It just completely erases it.
Yeah, I don't know about this one because, like, it could totally delete it on the computer, but I don't know if it could erase it off the floppy disks, and especially if it was more than one floppy disk. I mean, maybe it could erase one of them?
Exactly. This is, I think, one of those interesting tales. I mean, a lot of these are creepypastas that people have posted, right? So the majority of them are going to be fake. All of them should be fake. Actually, some of them are real, which I'll get into, but this one is, I believe, definitely fake, because you have to suspend your belief that some Russian gaming company in '89 was able to elicit an amazing privacy software that completely wiped, a CD and program off your computer through like one, I don't know, like finishing whatever the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally doable. I'm just not sure. I don't actually know a whole lot about floppy disks. Now I feel like I need to look up floppy disks.
All right. Well, while you're looking up floppy disks, the other thing that's interesting about this is the idea of somebody buying it off of eBay for a huge amount of money. I think that adds into the creepiness of the story, right? If that was it with the game, it would probably be on the not spooky side for me. But the fact that they named someone who bought this disc, promised to post videos, but only posted one video of him like staring at the screen, definitely adds to the creepiness of the story.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you were talking about someone buying him. Like, that's not that creepy. But the fact that he only uploaded one video just staring at the screen, that's what did it for me. Like, that is...
That's right. I mean, and so, 5,000 of only 5,000 copies of this game were ever sold. And with it self-deleting, that's why it became such a hot commodity. And Kill Switch, the Russian game, cannot be confirmed or denied because no copy exists. So you can't say definitely that it was here, but you also can't say that it never existed because it could have and simply erased all the copies that were produced.
Right. So I am looking, apparently floppy disks are rewritable, and I think that's every floppy disk. It's not like CDs where you have to have a rewritable CD. So that's actually totally legitimate. Like, that, you could do that.
Ooh, spoopy.
All right.
So
what
this, yeah. So this is probably, I mean, we start off with Kill Switch. I started off with a pretty creepy one. So this is honestly number one on our list, which means we'll have to, I guess, encounter another urban legends other than Kill Switch to see how it pairs up against it. You ready?
So are we just ranking them, or are we rating like how scary we found it, or both?
Ooh, I like that. Why don't we rate how scary we found it and then rank it?
Okay. So for me, 10 being like most scary, this is probably...
Well, we're ranking on a 1 to 10. Here's what you need to do. Go ahead and go to Google, type in 2 spooky rating. The number 2 spooky, there's no spaces, spooky rating. And go to images, and it's the first and second and third, image.
Okay, I see. So we're rating it on this scale?
Yeah, so there is not spooky. It is safe, but always be alert for skeletons. There's spoopy, no skeletons nearby, but I'm kind of scared anyways. There's spoopy, imminent danger of skeletons. Spooky, there is a skeleton right behind you, look out. And 2 spooky. That is the letter 2, the number 2 spooky. It is too late. A skeleton is inside of you. So where do you rank Kill Switch?
This is probably P spoopy.
P spoopy? You know, I think the tale itself is P spoopy, but I think the ending of the guy opening it brings it to spooky for me.
Yeah, I was debating. It's kind of like in the middle of those two.
It kind of is. It kind of is.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll agree with spooky and see how the rest go.
Okay, sure.
All right. Number 2 on our video game urban legends list is the urban legend of Pale Luna. In the 1970s/1980s, early 1980s, someone started circulating copies of a mysterious text-based adventure around the San Francisco Bay Area. Simply enough, it looked like a crafty, choose-your-own-text adventure. Lines would form asking for specific commands. Your story is that of a girl waking up in a lonely cabin and trying to escape into the woods. However, when interacting with objects, the text would sometimes state, "You've already tried that before," when you had not issued that command. On top of that, many gamers became frustrated by the fact that Pale Luna would crash if the wrong command was inputted. One player, however, remained diligent in finishing the quest and was finally rewarded with what? Coordinates. After driving out to the coordinates he was sent, it was there that a body of a young girl who had previously gone missing was found. The coordinates were found in the woods. Pale Luna.
Okay, so this is assuming that the developers have killed someone, put them in a forest, made a video game, and then put the coordinates at the end of the video game.
True, but not to the extent you're talking about. So the creepypasta states that someone, not a developer, someone just circulated copies of this text-based adventure. So they obviously wrote it, duplicated it on floppy disks, and started handing it out or swapping it, not necessarily selling it. So the idea being that whoever murdered this girl did that, right? That they disposed of it. Which is why when the it was text-based and you couldn't do certain actions because you could only do the actions that she did to try to escape.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't make that connection. Oh.
Yeah, I had to think about this a lot. I'm like, well, why is this creepy? And then I thought more about it. Yeah. If you ever read the creepypasta, it's super long about, it dives into this one player who did finish the quest, and because the game was just super frustrating, but he finally figured out the puzzles and like the steps to take in choosing the right options. And then coordinates popped up on his screen, so he decided to drive there, and it was in the middle of the woods, and that's where he discovered the body, which the story is that of a girl waking up in a cabin trying to escape into the woods.
Okay, so this is definitely creepy. I call BS on this for being real, though. There's no way, because that would assume that someone finished it in enough time for there to still be a body there to find. On top
or
of
bones.
Or bones, but on top of that, the person that finished it would have had to have been at least relatively close to this area to even go find it. I mean,
sure.
Like they don't have to be close, but who's gonna do that?
See, I think this is actually more plausible than Kill Switch. Even though Kill Switch I find also very plausible, but Pale Luna, I could see maybe some really smart psychopath like developing a text adventure and then like duplicating it and handing it out like in certain gaming communities and circles, like back in the 80s when, like you couldn't just go onto the internet and do stuff. And then like with it all leading to coordinates like of where the body was buried. Like I could see somebody twisted doing something along those lines.
I mean, I could see it. It's plausible, but as a developer, knowing what goes into that, it's just not, it doesn't seem like that's something that would actually happen. I mean,
look, Caleb, as a murder suspect, that's on the other end.
Right. I mean, maybe they hired someone to develop it and then put the body out there. But this also means that they meticulously had to write down every single thing that girl did.
That's true. I mean, I think this one you have to suspend belief more so than the Kill Switch one.
Sure.
To go along with it. I mean, where would you rank this in the, spooky realm? And you know what? Why don't we go ahead and add in a third ranking? Why don't we first just say plausible
or not?
Or not. I mean, have you watched Mythbusters? We can do confirmed, denied, or plausible.
Okay, yeah.
Right,
like
confirmed basically means like we could see it happening,
Okay.
not, no way, and plausible maybe.
Okay.
And then we can do the spooky one and then rank it. A lot of rankings happening today.
Sure. All right, so for me, I say plausible.
Sure.
I think this is on the spooky scale for me. If I really think about it, it actually goes down to P spoopy because, like, it just doesn't make sense. Because the more I'm thinking about it, they would have had to kill this person before the game even started development, which is just going to add more time for the body to decompose and it to be harder to find. But, that's kind of thinking too much. So I'm going to say spooky. And then on our ranking 1 to 10, you said 10 was the spookiest, right?
Yeah, well, where does this just rank with Kill Switch? So Kill Switch is automatically number 1. Right. Does this take the number 1 place or move to number 2?
See, I think this is way creepier if I believed it more. But because I don't believe it as much, I don't think it's as scary as Kill Switch.
Sure. And I'm with you on basically everything. I think this is a spooky tale. It's definitely one of the scariest. I also believe it's plausible, but I lean towards, it didn't happen, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I also think Kill Switch is still a little spookier than this one, but they're pretty close. I think they're pretty close in the 1 to 2 kind of ranking.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. Are you a fan of the Fallout franchise?
A little bit.
Well, our third urban legend is Fallout 3 predicts the future. In Fallout 3, there's a specialized radio station which you can tune to by completing a series of tasks during your Fallout 3 adventure. The infamous Numbers Station can be activated by killing radio DJ 3 Dog, skipping the signal boosting mission for GNR, and destroying the Raven Rock. Once all 3 of these parameters have been met, Galaxy News Radio will sometimes transform into a numbers station. A voice will read off a series of random numbers in a monotone voice, which is then followed by strings of Morse code. Some have decoded these messages, and it turns out that they are predicting historical events. A couple of these events that were predicted include the exact date and time of the death of actor Gary Coleman and the exact date of the Deepwater Horizon oil rig disaster.
So what you're saying is this is Morse code that people have taken as dates.
It's Morse code that when you decode it, it can be taken as dates. Like, for example, Gary Coleman had a famous saying. I can't remember what his saying was, but like in one of the decoded messages, it was his famous saying, then with a date and time, which was the date and time that he died.
Oh, okay.
And the other one was, it said, what was it? The broadcast, because it was a simple broadcast in a monotone voice, and then would give Morse code, which would point to a date. And so this radio station then also said something to the effect of oil spill, like explosion, and then pointed to the dates, which was the same date that Deepwater Horizon happened. And these dates were dates in the future that have now already passed.
Sure.
So when Fallout 3 first came out, they were future dates.
Okay. Yeah, this went from being plausible to me to being not at all plausible.
Sure.
Because, like, when you first said it, I was thinking, okay, well, the Morse code just translates to a bunch of numbers, and then you could interpret those numbers as dates. And sure, I could see things happening on those dates at that time or something. You know, coincidence, sure, but I could see it. But the actual predictions, no. There's absolutely no way.
Would it make it more spooky if I told you that one of the future predictions is that Britney Spears will win an Emmy in 2023? 2023,
no.
Baby.
Yeah,
that's one of the predictions.
Yeah, this is not spooky at all for me. Not plausible, and at the bottom of our spooky list.
100%. It is not spooky. It is green. It is safe. It is safe. You always have to be alert for skeletons, but there's no skeletons in the surrounding area. And for sure, this is this is number 3 right now. This will probably keep going all the way to the bottom of that not spooky list.
Yeah.
Well, switching gears from Fallout, we have to turn our consoles to Minecraft. Now, some players and prominent Twitch streamers began to complain in the early years of Minecraft of an eerie, non-playing character that would randomly appear during their play sessions. This doppelganger, known as Herobrine, looked very similar to the default character model, but sported soulless white eyes. Players complained of him mysteriously appearing, as well as mysterious structures showing up in-game, or instances in which all of the nearby trees were stripped of their leaves. Some speculate that Herobrine is the username of the game creator's brother, who tragically died when the creator of Minecraft was young.
Okay. I like this one. I will say that. I think that this one is a little bit creepy because part of it I could totally see being real.
Yeah.
You play Minecraft?
A little bit, yep.
Okay, so do you know the Endermen?
I do not.
Okay, so the Endermen are these tall, black, kind of mysterious creatures. They were inspired by the Slendermen and put into the game, and they will just randomly, like, appear into the game. So, like, this almost sounds like them, just with an added layer of, like, it stripping the trees and stuff. All of that, to me, sounds super plausible. It seems like something that the developer, could have done before Microsoft bought that out. But the part that I don't really believe is that the developer's brother died when he was a child. That's just that little added layer of, I don't know, man. But the first part, could totally see. In terms of it being spooky.
Well, and I'm going to cut you off there for a second. I totally agree with you there. I think it's kind of unsettling. I could totally see it's plausible. Story-wise, I think the game creator's brother did actually die when he was younger, but people are tying this into it, saying that must have been his younger, like a nickname for his younger brother.
Yeah.
Or like it would be his gamer tag, or I don't know. As far as Minecraft is concerned, they've actually never come out and state that this is false. And in fact, in one of their early patches, one of the patch notes was, remove Herobrine, is what it said. And so they kind of added fuel to the fire. So this is one that I could actually see as being either something intentionally added by the developers, or I would probably say a glitch, right? Where you see Steve, the character from Minecraft, but he kind of has whitish eyes, like he's not who he should be.
Mm-hmm.
And he does randomly appear, and structures randomly appear, and maybe even the trees. That happens to the trees. But it's part of a glitch that shouldn't be happening, and so they just wiped it.
Sure. And I could also totally see the developer just feeding into this and being like, oh, I'm just going to put in the changelog here, removed Herobrine, when it was never there to begin with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would actually put this in the plausible. Or not plausible, sorry, confirmed. This is more than plausible for me. This is probably, yeah, it happened, and it was just a glitch.
Yeah, I don't think I can go so far as to say confirmed, but it's definitely on that higher end of plausible for me.
Where would you put it on the spooky meter?
I would say this is a solid P spoopy.
I would go one step lower than that. I don't think it's a P spoopy, but I think it's a spoopy. So that's kind of the second scariest out of the 5 tiers. So where would
second
this...
to last scariest.
Correct. Second to last scariest. Yes.
Yeah.
Where would this rank though in from Kill Switch, Pale Luna, and Fallout 3 predicting the future?
I think this is above Fallout, but below everything else.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you again. I still think Kill Switch has it, the cake. Pale Luna is fairly close, but then I feel there's almost a separation here, because then you get the Minecraft, Herobrine, which is kind of in the middle of these, kind of bridges the gap, and then Fallout 3, which just is.
Yeah. Yeah, that pretty much covers it.
All right, well, switching from Microsoft to Nintendo, the fifth urban legend we have is a haunted copy of Majora's Mask. A gamer at a flea market found an N64 cartridge with Majora's Mask written across it in black magic marker. Upon starting the game, the user noticed that there was already a game saved on the cartridge, simply titled Ben. He ignored the save file and started a new game, and noticed that all the non-playing characters would refer to him as Ben. He deleted the bin file and tried to start a new game. The game became more erratic. The music would play backwards, and his character began to be followed by a statue of the game's main character with a creepy smile on its face. Eventually, the bin file returned to the game. Along with it, another new file, simply titled Drowned. Every time he played, after the 2 files appeared, his character would simply die, and a creepy message would sprawl across the screen. You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?
Okay.
The haunted Majora's Mask copy. Ooh, getting back into creepy territory with this one, I think.
All right, I'll let you start this one off. What do you think?
Yeah, so reading it, I think this is, like I said, back into probably spooky territory, for me at least. Is this real? Denied. Like, not even plausible for me. I could believe maybe an N64 cartridge. I could believe with it, written Majora's Mask on it. I could believe having a game file bin on it. Maybe even a game file called Drowned. But everything else, not plausible. Maybe it was a like converted copy, like somebody took the copy,
like a hacked
copy. Yeah. Somehow like modded it, kind of like a Game Shark copy. But that, to put all the effort, and I don't even know if that's plausible with N64 cartridges. So I would definitely say this is fake for me, but it's still definitely a spooky.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I could have gone again with that cartridge. I could have gone with the save file. I even could have gone with some weird things happening in the game. But the thing following you around with the creepy smile, no, this is definitely a denied for me as well. But that being said, it is still pretty creepy. So I would stick it up there with the spooky scale.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. So spooky scale for sure. Would you go with the denied on this as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So where then does it fit with the other 4 that we have put on this list?
This one's kind of tough because I still don't think it's as creepy as the first 2, Kill Switch and Pale Luna, but it kind of competes with Minecraft, I think, for the level that it is. I think it probably goes above Minecraft, though.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there. Part of me almost wants to put it above Pale Luna, just because of like how creepy some of it is. And I would be interested in reading, I'm giving synopsis here, but like reading the actual full, 15-minute, 20-minute story that goes along with these. Mm-hmm. And I bet the full story would put it up there. But as right now, just for the synopsis wise, I agree with you. I think it's number 3 on my list of spookiness.
Yeah, I agree. But Zach, we're going to take a very small break because it is time for Super Cereal. So in honor of Halloween, I thought we would take a creepy character and do Michael Myers.
Well, Michael Myers wouldn't probably eat cereal. He would eat humans.
He's not a cannibal.
He could be.
Although I imagine him just pouring, like, he gets up in the morning, he goes over to the fridge, he opens the fridge, he pulls out his gallon of milk, he pours a gallon of milk, only it's not a gallon of milk, it's a gallon of blood, and he just, like, holds the bowl up and just drinks the blood.
Drains it.
Right.
Also in honor of Halloween, I could see Michael Myers waking up, going to the pantry, and pulling out a gigantic box of Count Chocula.
Yeah.
And eating that for breakfast with the added bonus of you pour in regular milk, but by the end it has transformed into chocolate milk.
I like it. Okay, what about this? So, what if he gets the Count Chocula, he's got the milk, but his bowl is a severed head, and he has cut open the top and removed the brains, and he's using that cavity as his bowl.
I like it, but too gory. I don't want to picture that. But for sure. Or, I mean, I could also see him like using his mask, like, like pouring some cereal and milk and just going for it.
Yeah. Are you a fan of that series?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Are you going to see the new one?
Probably not. I mean, I will once it bombs and comes out on Netflix, but
sure.
Are you?
No, I don't think so. I've seen the first one, but not a big horror movie fan.
Yeah, I've seen the first one, and for me, like all these franchises that are trying to reboot themselves by just naming the movie the same, like it's just nah.
This one's a sequel, right?
I know it is a sequel, but nah.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, Zach.
Not for me.
Hit us with number 6.
All right, number 6, Sonic.exe. A gamer received a strange disc from a distant friend in the mail. The individual warned him to destroy this disc, but seeing as how this player was a big Sonic fan, he decided against it and instead to play it. It was immediately apparent that this Sonic game wasn't a normal game, but rather a hacked copy that someone had made. The game featured 3 playable characters, Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, who would all run away from a floating, demonic Sonic whose eyes were bleeding. The game featured horrible imagery and gore, such as lakes of blood. At the end of the play session, the gamer found himself stalked by a blood-stained plush. The plush? Sonic.
Okay, I just want to say that of all the ones we've talked about so far, this is actually the only one I've ever heard of before. And as soon as you started talking, I realized what it was. I kind of like froze and my skin just started to crawl.
Yep.
This one to me is genuinely terrifying. There's actually more to it than what you're saying.
Elaborate. Go for it.
Oh man, I don't remember the specifics. I watched a video on it.
Yeah.
It might have been earlier this year actually. And it's not so much of the stuff after playing the game, but it's actually the game itself and how it actually treats you playing it. It just, I don't know what it is. It completely freaks me out. I can't handle it because I think originally I was like, oh, I should, because I think the video I was watching was like someone playing it. Yeah. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll go try to find this and play it. And then I kept watching. I was like, nope. Not happening. Not gonna happen. Yeah, so terrifying. And I think it's, I don't know if I can go so far as to say confirmed, but super plausible. The first part, not the plush.
Yeah, no, not Sonic appearing behind you. I mean, this story came out, and there is a game, and you can download it. Now, the game, I believe itself even states that it is a copy, a representation of the original story that came out. So it's not the original game.
Okay.
But you still get a huge feel for the original game. So I think with that, like, I don't know. I'm super, because I could see this. I could see somebody receiving a disc from a friend being like, don't play this, destroy, like whatever. Mm-hmm. And him being like, oh, I'm a huge Sonic fan, and playing it, and just it being this modded gore fest Sonic version with so many layers that we didn't even cover. And, just kind of simply adding in that he was haunted, or maybe he, like, this scarred him for life, and he was like hallucinating and would see, the Sonic. So yeah. I definitely could see this as plausible. And where did you put it on the spooky track?
Oh, this is too spooky. Instantly.
Too spooky. Instantly.
too spooky. Probably because of the stuff I know about it already.
Yeah.
Not just your story.
Yeah. Well, it's a good time to point out, if any of these intrigue you, I would encourage you to go look it up, because again, I'm giving a synopsis, and there's stories about them. There's excellent YouTube videos about each one of these. It is, it's good.
But I would
rank
be careful. I'm going to say, just, if you Google these things, just be careful what you're clicking on.
Yeah, and don't watch it at night.
Oh, no.
Like, watch it midday Saturday, and make sure you're surrounded by family and friends.
Right.
Yeah, but this isn't a too spooky, but this is probably a spooky for me. It's up there.
Okay, and I would put this above Kill Switch.
Oh, really? So this takes your number one.
Yeah.
I would probably put this, even though it is too spooky, I would probably put this lower, or higher than the Haunted Majora's Mask copy. So this would be my number 4 on the list of 6.
Oh, that's way lower than mine.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have this right here. I don't know. It's just that the idea of the copy gets me more than this game. But then again, I mean, I've read some of the story and I've watched some videos, but you can go out and watch a lot of video play of that Sonic.exe, and it is disturbing. Yeah. So I've only seen a little bit of like Sonic chase down Tails, and that little part I'm like, nope, I'm good. I don't want to see anything else. And I'm sure you watched, I mean, whatever 10, 15, 30-minute video you watched was a lot more.
Yeah.
All right. Ready for number 7?
Let's do it.
Video game urban legend number 7, Plebius. Plebius was an arcade game that mysteriously appeared in an arcade in Portland, Oregon in the early 1980s. The cabinet was completely black except for a green joystick and the logo at the top of the machine. The game combined elements of classic shooters like Tempest, mazes like Pac-Man, and spatial puzzles. However, when played, it caused all sorts of health problems, including amnesia, blackouts, nausea, seizures, headaches, night terrors, and in some cases, players were reported to commit suicide not long after playing. It is also said that men dressed in all black would often be seen tampering with the game, leading some to speculate that this device was not simply a video game, but a high-level government experiment.
Yeah, no. I don't
Nope.
believe this.
Nope.
I don't believe this for an instant.
Really?
Yeah, no, I could believe that it showed up in the arcade, but I can't believe all of those effects that it had. I maybe could go with some of them, but not all of them. And the people tampering with it, I mean, look, these arcades are managed by people that own these machines. Sure, maybe someone may be tampered with it a couple times, but they're not just going to let people keep coming back and doing it.
Oh, there is even more layers to this one. This is probably the one of the most widely known urban legends. It's even said that for individuals who would get a high score on this game, that you would usually immediately be visited after you leave the arcade by several men in black suits. And stories vary on what they say to you or what happens next, but if you did get a high score, you would get a visitor.
Yeah, that makes this even less plausible for me. I'm just going to go out and say this is straight up denied for me.
Really? Okay, this is plausible for me. I'm probably... Are you one to believe in government conspiracies or no?
It depends. I think that there are things that the government does that we don't know. That's called classified information. What they're doing with it, I don't know. Sure, I believe in some conspiracies, but I'm not someone that's going to go out and be like, oh, the government is taking all of our information and
you're not like
George
W. Bush did 9/11.
Right,
and
right.
ET's in Area 51.
And we never went to the moon. No, I'm not that person.
Oh, yeah. No, same. I think we're on the same page there. But this one, just for the sake of spookiness, this one I see as plausible. 1980s, Portland, Oregon, creepy arcade machine that the government is using to test out some digital cyber warfare or to somehow, I don't know, the early endeavors of the NSA. I could see something like this happening. I think it's plausible for me. So with this being totally denied, Caleb, is it in the green, you're safe, not spooky whatsoever?
Yeah, just because I don't really believe it. If I believed that showed up and people in black suits were tampering with it, it would probably go up to the spoopy level, but it's still not super creepy to me.
See, even though I find this plausible, this is spoopy. So this is the blue. This is pretty low in the ranking, right? So it's not even too spooky. It's not spooky. It's not even spoopy. It's down there. It's not that creepy for me. Like, okay, I get it. I could see it, but it's not creepy. Like, whatever.
Yeah. So where does this go on your list of all of them?
Man, so right now I have Kill Switch is still number 1. Pale Luna still is number 2. I believe my number 3 I put was The Haunted Mask. 4 then would have to be...
That was Sonic.
5 was Minecraft. 6 was Fallout 3. So where does Plebius fit? It fits... I think Sonic's still creepier. So I think Plebius takes number 5 now? 1, 2, yeah, 5.
Okay. So
that's kind of mid-tier.
That puts it above Fallout and what?
Minecraft.
Okay. For me, Minecraft is creepier than this. This goes only above Fallout, so it's second to last.
Okay. Yeah, I mean we're pretty much in agreement with this one. It's there, but it's not necessarily creepy or believable.
Yeah.
However, the next one is incredibly creepy because it is incredibly believable. The Morrowind mod JVK1166Z.ESP. The mod first appeared on the internet a couple of years ago and was originally thought to be a virus, as when you loaded the game with the mod, your game would freeze on the title screen and corrupt all the save game files, essentially ruining the game. However, it was soon discovered that if you ran this game in DOS-box software that allows games to play older PC games on their modern computers, the game would work. When the player started the game with the mod on, all the main characters in the game are already dead. If you stay in one spot for too long, your health would also begin to deplete. And if you died from standing still too long, a new character would reveal themselves. Players took to calling this new character the Assassin. He appeared to be a man, except his legs and arms were long and bent like a spider. Players began to notice that if you paid close attention to this assassin, you could see him around corners or scurrying up the walls, but only for brief moments. All the characters left living would come outside at night and just stand there. When a player would attempt to interact with one of these non-playing characters, they would simply say, "Watch the sky." Soon, a new dungeon was also discovered. Inside this dungeon was what players called the Hall of Portraits. The hall was lined with picture frames, and inside the frames were photos of you, taken from your My Pictures folder. At the end of the hall was a locked door. No one has ever reported proof that they have figured out how to open up this door or what's behind the door. However, some players obsessed with trying to open it have played the modded game for days straight with very little sleep, and claim after long hours of playing, they begin to see the assassin in real life, quickly crawling into their bedroom ceilings or down the hallways, trying to kill them.
Okay. So, this is another one that right off the bat, I was like, no, definitely not. Even before you got to the crazy stuff at the end. I mean, obviously, nobody's going to come out of the video game attacking you in your house.
Sure.
That's just not... I mean, you don't have to know anything to know that. But,
sure.
DOSBox? I know what DOSBox is. DOSBox is a way to play old MS-DOS games, and Morrowind is not an MS-DOS game. That's like taking a N64 emulator and trying to play a PS1 game on it.
It works, man.
It's just not going to work. So that right off of the bat tells me that this is completely just BS. It's not... No. Not plausible. Denied.
Denied. I say this is confirmed for sure. It's a mod. And I could definitely see this mod happening where it's just a super creepy mod. You know, there's a new dungeon. They mod all this different stuff. The ending with people seeing this creature, I could see it if like players were like really obsessed with trying to complete this mod, and then they are like hallucinating this creature. I mean, I don't think it is actually real or anything. But those who have played it for so long just start seeing things before they go to bed, or in the middle of the night. So I could definitely, I think this is a confirmed for me. I could see that this mod is out there somewhere.
Yes, I could totally go with the mod. Like, that part of it, I'm down with. I'm down with them editing everything, killing the characters, making the dungeon, whatever. Especially because Elder Scrolls has such a big modding community.
True.
But that DOSBox sets it off. The pictures of you, obviously, the only way it's going to be able to do that is if you have a webcam on your computer that it's using that you don't know, which is possible, except Morrowind is an older game, and unless this is a new mod, webcams weren't, like, everywhere back then.
It could have pulled from your, like, camera roll, like a saved My Pictures document.
The only way it's going to be able to do that is if it has your login information for iCloud.
What if you had saved it on the computer, though?
Again, just being a developer and knowing the technical requirements for that to happen.
Sure.
That's just why it's not plausible. But if you took all that stuff out and you just talked about the mod, totally. That is totally plausible. And I would say that part of it would be confirmed. But taken as a package, no, not so much. So for me, denied. And on my spooky scale, actually, even though I don't think this is real, I think the story is actually really, really creepy. Especially the end with the faces and the guy coming after you. It falls somewhere in between spooky and too spooky. So I'm probably going to say just spooky.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is more confirmed than you do. But as far as the spooky level, I don't think it's too spooky, but I think it definitely falls between P spoopy and spooky. So it's still pretty up there for me. All right, so where does this fall in your list?
So I think that this is going to be number 3 on my list, underneath Sonic at number 1 and Kill Switch at number 2.
Ooh, number 3. I like that. This probably is going to fall to probably number... I'm stuck because I'm not sure if this is, scarier than Plebis or not. I think that's it I see it as in the same vein as that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I've ranked them all together. But I'll go ahead and say that this one, at least for me, is a little scarier than that. So this then is my number 4.
Okay. So that's pretty close to mine too. Are you writing these down?
I'm not. I should have. And I just realized that. I'm like, shoot, this is a lot to remember.
I started writing mine down on number 3.
Yeah. I thought about it. No, but I think it's 4 because my number 1 still Kill Switch. My number 2 still Pale Luna. My number 3 is the Haunted Majora's Mask copy, which would mean my number 4 is Merwin, 5 Plebis, 6 Sonic, 7 Minecraft, and 8 Fallout 3, which means we are on to our number 9, our last one. Caleb, before we move on to our number 9, I would like to do a couple honorable mentions, if that is okay with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so these honorable mentions, I kind of excluded them because so far, all the ones we have mentioned, while some of them, I guess they're kind of split. They're either they affect you in real life or they're more in-game, but even the ones that are in-game affect you in real life. These 3 I'm going to mention, I excluded them as just simply honorable mentions because they simply only affect the game and have no relevance to you outside, which I think is kind of the key to an urban legend.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one is Super Mario Galaxy 2, the Hell Valley Shadow People. So in Super Mario Galaxy 2, if you are in a certain world, I can't remember the world you're at, and if you go into first-person mode and look up this cliff, there's a tall cliff, and there what looks like to be 3 figures standing and watching you. Now, these 3 figures, if you zoom in, look like people, except they're all black with empty eye sockets. And, of course, in the vein of like that texture as well. So don't think too creepy. Now, if you go into the program itself, these are labeled as, I think, trees. And they definitely do not look like trees. And on top of that, where like you go into like what that I think graphics labeled, it is labeled as Hell Valley, and so these have become known as the Hell Valley Shadow People.
Okay,
that kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You're a fan of Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah.
Have you played number 7 and 8?
I have not.
Ooh.
I'm a new fan.
Ooh. All right. Well, maybe I'll skip this one because it has to do with a Final Fantasy 8 spoiler.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it if you would.
All right, well, there's an urban legend out there. Just do urban legend Final Fantasy VIII if you're interested in looking it up. It's an interesting one, but it only has consequences for the Final Fantasy mythos if you're interested in that.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, of course. The last one is Earthbound's final mission, and you've probably heard about this one, is that Nessa's final mission is an alien abortion.
No.
Yes. So his final mission, basically you go through this spooky maze and then you finally battle your final boss, and kill it or get rid of it. Well, if you look at the maze, it's, kind of shaped like a uterus. And then the last boss you face looks kind of like some deformed, twisted fetus. At least that's what's claimed. And so that's what many people claim is Earthbound's final mission.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that, but I could totally see that being the case, considering when it was made and that the Japanese made it.
Oh, for sure. And I think the owner, like, discredited it, but, like, his, rebuttal was, no, I saw this maze, this is from a movie theater I walked into. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, sure. We know what movie you were seeing. So, yeah, like, so I could definitely see that one as plausible. All right, well, after all the honorable mentions comes to our last one, which is definitely the worst one for me because I have watched hundreds of videos of this. Does this sound familiar to you? Because if it does, then you might know of Pokemon, the Lavender Town Syndrome. Back in February 27th of 1996, Japan had a peak in suicides and illness in children, right after Pokemon Red and Green was released. The suicides and illness only occurred after children playing the game reached what was known as Lavender Town, whose theme music had high frequencies that only young children could hear. Over 200 children were ill or died from Lavender Town Syndrome. After that mass death toll, Nintendo changed the theme music for North America release and discarded all copies with the other music. In 2010, special software was used to analyze the original audio. By playing it backwards, you can depict the Pokemon unknowns. Pokemon which didn't appear until Generation 2. However, these same Pokemon form a word that says, "Leave now."
You know, these are frustrating because it's like, this is totally plausible, and then it just gets to a point where it's like, no, you did too much.
Nah, this is too spooky for me. I'm sorry. This is too spooky. And I think this is like your Sonic game for you. Again, the description I read, I feel like the description I read isn't that spooky, but I have watched like a 30-minute in-depth video of this. And while I think this isn't, even though for me it's too spooky, on the other end of the spectrum, for me it's denied. This isn't plausible whatsoever. Because you could do research and no cases have come out. But I've still watched a 30-minute video, and just everything about it's just yep.
Yeah, I totally get that. My thing with it is, like, I was with you all the way up until probably when the unknown spelled something, actually. Because there are several Pokemon from Generation 2 that were created, or at least partially created, during Generation 1 and just didn't make it in. And I could totally go with reversing it and it being that noise because that's something that they would do back in the days. They'd use the same sound, play it backwards to save space. And I'm good with all that. And even though I don't really think it's possible for the Game Boy to create pitches that adults can't hear, I'm still down with that. But when you add in the whole thing about them spelling it, that doesn't make sense, especially when you're talking about a sound. I mean, how do you decoding a sound to know which different unknowns they are? They all have the same noise.
Advanced digital software.
So that's kind of where it falls apart for me.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this is would you consider it plausible or would you consider it denied?
Taking it all, denied. If you eliminate that part about the unknowns at the end, definitely plausible. Although I still don't think that happened.
Sure. How does it line up in your spooky meter?
This is between spoopy and not spooky, but it's more on the not spooky side, so that's what I'm going to say.
Okay, this is like I said, it's too spooky for me. And the Lavender Town Syndrome, man, this is number one. So this beats everything else. This is my nope.
Okay, I see that. So I'm guessing just top of your list.
Top of my list, right? So top three then would be Lavender Town Syndrome Pokemon, Kill Switch, the Russian game that deletes itself, and then Pale Luna. Which, if I would consider kind of what's really, really creepy in all of this list, I would also include the Haunted Majora's Mask copy. And after that, everything else I would consider, fluctuating from not creepy at all to just kind of creepy. But those 4 are, the top 4 of my list, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all like too spooky. Well, they're not all too spooky, but they're all
right.
spooky for sure.
I gotcha. Yeah, I'm having issues placing this one because I've got Polybius and Fallout right beside each other, and to me it's right around there. It's definitely creepier than Fallout, but I don't know if it's creepier than Polybius. So I think I'm actually going to sandwich it right in between, which brings my list to Sonic, Killswitch, The Morrowind, Pale Luna, Zelda, Minecraft, Polybius, and the thing we just talked about that I just completely forgot. Pokemon. And then Fallout.
Nice. Well, I guess that brings my list then to Lavender Town Syndrome, Pokemon, Killswitch, the Russian game that deletes itself, Pale Luna, the Haunted Majora's Mask. And after that, if you're a listener, email us and let Zach know the rest of his list.
We're really good at this.
I literally can't remember. I think I put Morrowind up, the mod, Plebus, Sonic, Minecraft, and Fallout 3, I think was the rest of it then.
That sounds right.
That sounds right, but I could be wrong, so just let us know if it is. But that gives you the list of video game urban legends.
Yeah, I hope all you guys enjoyed that. That was really interesting, Zach. I actually liked that a lot. Good work.
That was some good discussion.
Yeah, but that was that, and this is this. It's time for What You Been Up To. So, Zach, last time you were on, you had been really busy. You hadn't really done much. Have you done something this week?
I have. I've done a couple somethings.
All right, what you been up to?
Well, listening to another podcast, because ours sucks.
No.
I'm just kidding. I like ours. Ours is the best podcast out there. But if you are waiting for a next episode to drop, and you are looking for something else to listen to hear, I've actually been listening to one that was suggested by my boss. Caleb, as you know, I work at a church.
That's correct.
So he actually suggested this one, and it's called Jesus and the Masters of Divinity. So it's these 2 guys. They have their Masters of Divinity, which is like just a master's degree in religion. Anyways, they talk about nerd principles. So they actually review kind of old movies that we haven't gotten to yet. So like the original Batman. Okay. Original Superman. It's like kind of those old movies. So they take those, and then they actually, by taking them, answer questions about God. And it's really, really interesting how they take that and then how they answer. And I wouldn't say answer, because they don't just tell you what the answer is. They struggle with it and say, here's what we think. What do you think? So it's really, really interesting. So if that sounds interesting to you, go check it out. Jesus and the Masters of Divinity.
Do you have an example of what you're talking about? Because it's a little vague.
It is really vague. Yeah. So for example, they talked about I can't remember, Superman 2, maybe the original one, and I can't remember which one it is because I haven't seen a lot of those old ones. But it's the one where Lois Lane doesn't believe or believes Clark Kent is Superman in the movie, so she's trying to trick him basically to reveal himself to who he is. And so they correlate that to the question, is it okay if we either A, believe in a higher power, or B, don't believe in a higher power, to state, if you're real, do this for me.
I see.
And then they correlate that then to the movie of what kind of Lois Lane was doing to Superman. So, and then they talk about that question then.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. That's very cerebral.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's really interesting how they take that and tie it into a question, then discuss it. And they're really short. They're 10 to 15 minutes. So super short, bite-sized podcasts you can listen to.
How often do they come out?
There's only 4 of them out right now. It's actually really new. So I think they come out kind of like our podcast does, maybe every week or so. But yeah.
Sweet.
So that's what I'm up to. Caleb, what you up to?
I've been up to a couple different things. Last night I went to the movie theater and I saw Bad Times at the El Royale.
Okay, I have been really interested in that. I know that it has raked in a very disappointing first week or second week. I can't remember which week
this is the first week, I think.
This is the first. It was all I remember was I think it was one of the lowest box office totals. So it was kind of disappointing. But how was it?
So the fact that you say that doesn't surprise me at all, because this is written and directed by Drew Goddard, who also wrote Cabin in the Woods, which was directed by Joss Whedon back in 2013, I think. Which I don't think did super well commercially either. It did okay. I think mostly because of Joss Whedon's name. I really, really enjoyed this. It is, it's got some...
It's a mystery, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's what I've only seen the trailer. So like how the trailer set it up is kind of a drama, kind of a mystery.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about what it is. I will say it changes through the movie, but definitely how it's portrayed in the trailers is definitely in there, and it's a big part of it, which is sort of like this Clue, suspense kind of noir mystery type movie, which they do really, really well when they do that. It has some twists and turns. It surprised me a lot. Everybody that's in it does a phenomenal job. It's got some big name people in it. Jeff Bridges is in it.
Chris Hemsworth is in it. It's got Dakota, whatever her name is. Fanning?
No, the one from 50 Shades of Grey. Which I didn't know. Courtney told me. And I was like, Dakota Fanning? Wait, no, that's not right.
Yeah.
It's got, who else? I don't remember his name. The dude from Series of Unfortunate Events that narrates it.
Oh, Patrick. No. Who narrates it? I know who you're talking about. I can picture the actor's name, but I don't know his name. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. They all do a fantastic job. I think it's all filmed really, really well. At one point, I thought, is this a theater play? Is this like something they've adapted from a play? Because I don't know if you ever noticed, sometimes when they do that in movies, like the shots are really long and they don't cut. Yeah, they do that a few times in this movie. It's an original thing, but they do it really, really well. If you like that kind of movie, definitely worth checking out. If I had any critiques, maybe the teensiest a bit too long, because it is, I think, like 2 hours and 23 minutes. So it's a long movie.
It's a long movie.
But it is really, really good. I would suggest if you are a fan of any of those types of things, definitely go check it out. It is worth.
Sweet. I definitely will have to. And Caleb, talking about movies, Venom.
Yeah.
I know you guys did a whole podcast on it, but it is domestically and overseas, it is raking in the money.
It is, which is a little concerning because that means the floodgates are now opening for us to get Morbius, Silver and Black, which apparently isn't Silver and Black anymore. They're two different movies. Whatever else they've got going on over there at Sony. It's hard to keep up these days. Kraven the Hunter, I think, is another one that they're doing, which is supposed to have Spider-Man in it, but probably not the Spider-Man that we know.
True. I always feel bad for you because, it sucks too as a comic book. Somebody who loves comic books, right? But I'm like, man, as Caleb who's a Spider-Man nerd, this is just heartbreaking to see all these different movies, all these different love childs broken up.
Right, without Spider-Man. I will say the Kraven movie is supposed to be an adaptation of Kraven's Last Hunt, which on one hand, I'm like, why are you using that as his first story? Because
that's weird.
If you know how that story ends, it would be very difficult to do another one.
Yes.
But at the same time, they said Spider-Man's going to be in it. So if it's like a one-shot movie with Spider-Man in it, I could actually be really down for that. I actually wish Marvel would do more of those types of movies to get some more interesting stories that we can't get set in the MCU.
Sure. That would make sense.
Yeah. But, did you see Venom?
I did.
Did you like it?
I did. I thought it was just a good action movie, right?
Cool.
So since it was a his first solo outing, it was really slow at the beginning. Mm-hmm. There's some stuff that just is like, but when it was good, it was good. I loved all the action scenes with Venom in it. The boss battle, whatever, the ending scene, whatever. Mm. But I thought it was more humorous than I expected.
Yep.
And I really liked both Eddie Brock and Venom.
Okay. I agree with most of the things you said. If you guys want to hear more about that, please go check out the episode that we released 2 weeks ago now and find out more about the movie. Although at that point, you probably will have already seen it if you're interested. But anyway, the other thing I've been up to this week, Zach, is I think I talked about a while back I had started One Piece. I have been watching a little bit more, and it got really good. Like out of nowhere. I was on episode like 36 maybe, and I've just kind of been watching it on and off, and I don't have anything else to put on the TV. And then it just got really good. So I was not expecting that. I have always been kind of cold on One Piece, but this has warmed me up, so I think I will probably continue watching.
Nice.
And that's pretty much all I've been up to.
It works for me.
That's what it sounds like when we don't know what to say.
That's what it sounds like when it's awkward. So Caleb, you know who else is too spooky because it's too late and a skeleton's already inside of them?
That's awkward, but Taylor Poole?
Taylor Poole!
Guys, please go check out Taylor Poole. He is the one who did our opening intro music. He does great work. You can find him at taylorpoolemusic.com. That's TaylorPoole music.com.
And when you're not ready to be scared, go ahead and check out the not spooky CNC Power Hour over on Twitch.
They stream Magic the Gathering on Sundays and video games usually on Saturdays. And also, while you're on the internet, please go check out our website. It's the best way to share the show with other people, find out a little bit about us, see all of our shows, get links to where you can listen to all of our shows, and subscribe. And it's a great place to just check out.
And have a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween! Thanks for listening to 'Cause We're Nerds. Stay up to date with all the nerdy news and podcast drops by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also leave us comments and feedback at cuzwerenerds@gmail.com. That's CUZWERENERDS@gmail.com. And as always, if you enjoyed this podcast, we would love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Halloween is here, but the Christmas shopping season is quickly approaching. And that means buying plastic treasures for all your favorite nerds. Next week, we talk about one of the cornerstones of nerd culture, collecting. How we do it, why, and how you can use the hobby to make your Christmas shopping a little bit easier. We'll see you next week on 'Cause We're Nerds. Stay nerdy. Hey, Zach, have you ever seen the original Friday the 13th?
Yes.
I can recreate the famous music from it.
Famous sex scene?
No, it's the
we
music.
don't need that. We don't need that.
The music, Zach. If you've ever seen it, you would know.
No. Yeah, no, the music, it goes da-da, da-da.
That's Jaws.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
That's definitely Jaws. No, the legitimately, this is what it sounds like. It's terrible. It's like,
no.
No joke.
That music. No, I have heard that. That music's awesome. Don't hate on me.
Zach, shut up. All right. Goodbye.
That's been too spooky for me.